Hey everybody, Tommy here, World at War Comics, and my next special guest is Mr. Z.G. Taylor. He is the writer and creator of Red and Brown, which you could get right now on Kickstarter. So the link is below. Get over to Kickstarter, check it out. I think you're going to really like this. All right, without further ado, here is ZG and I. Enjoy. Well, hello everyone. Welcome to World at War Comics. My next guest is Mr. Z.G. Taylor. He is the writer and creator of Red and Brown, which we're going to talk about. But before we get into that, man, I would love to know how you're doing. I know it's very late where you're at. We were just kind of talking about that, man. I appreciate your flexibility, but it's a pleasure to meet you, my friend.
Likewise, man. Likewise. I've been sitting nervous about this one for a while, but I'm glad to be here, and I'm grateful that you've got the platform to host this. So thank you very much for having me.
No, 100%. I'm really happy to have you. And this is what we do, man. We love comic books. We especially love indie comic books. So anytime we could shine a light on the indie creators, I think that's fun. It's awesome. And yeah, I can't wait to dig in. But before we jump into your title, I would love just to know, like, where did this passion for storytelling begin in your life? And was there anybody important in your life that really helped to kind of push you in that direction?
Yeah. So I started out reading books ever since I was a kid, like devoured anything I could. I was about 6, 7, and I started on Harry Potter, which was like unsurprising. It's a big thing, especially here in the UK. It's a massive, massive thing. But as time went on, my aunt used to buy me a lot of books for birthdays and Christmases, so that kept me going and going. But no, my big obsession when I was a kid was Percy Jackson. I was a massive, massive Percy Jackson kid. So that's where it like began and solidified as like early formative steps.
That's awesome, man. And then as far as comic books, when was your first exposure to comic books?
So yeah, I've been told that mine's kind of a weird one, but mine was actually Star Wars. I was walking through the high street one day, and I've got even to this day, I've got no idea why. I think I must have seen some panels online, or I read a lot of the novels when I was a kid as well, like the old extended universe pre-Disney, and my brain just said, "Oh, I wonder if they do comics of Star Wars now still these days." And that was it. That was it.
That's
It was
awesome.
I picked up some Darth Vader stuff, and that was it. That was it. Ran with it. Never looked back twice.
Yeah, some of the black, white, and red that they've done with Darth Maul
Mm.
and yeah, it's been awesome. The art is incredible, but yeah, I'm with you on that one. That's awesome. Yeah, that's great. That's great. All right, well, let's jump into your title. Before I pull it up, man, can you give us like a little bit of an elevator pitch as to what fans can expect from your title?
Yeah, of course. So Red and Brown, as an elevator pitch, revolves around a detective named Streznik who is stuck in the center of a mistrial. And no matter where he wakes up, no matter where he goes, from the minute he comes out of his front door, reporters are trying to ask him all about this case. And no matter what he does or where he goes, he cannot avoid it. Whether it's people trying to give him a coffee just because they want to congratulate and thank him for how hard he fought for someone, and then you get others that whisper about him behind his back, and others that see him as like a stain. And no, either way, he cannot avoid this. And eventually, he reaches a point where he feels like it's time to call it quits. He can't do this anymore. And he gets a call out to a hospice to discuss with a terminally ill patient confession that she has. And the story unravels from there.
Ooh, interesting. And how long have you been sitting on this story? And was it always a comic book that you wanted to tell this story through? Or, some people start with maybe a novel or other ways to get their story out. Has this always been a comic book? And when did you start to have this story come about?
Yeah. So for me, it always was a comic book. But because the narrative is a little bit heavy and it's quite a lot of dialogue to it as well as narration, I was worried to myself whether or not this would suit the medium perfectly because a lot of people want snappy dialogue, snappy narration, quick visuals, pump it out for 20 pages, done. Next one, divide it up. But I thought, no, this is what it's supposed to be. We'll find a way to make it work. So we're going to find out whether people like it or not. But yeah, I envisioned it as a comic, and that's exactly what it's going to stay for now.
I love it. I love it. And then as far as the story in length, is there a thought of, is it like a 4, 6 issue arc that you're beginning with, or do you have like a long-term story that if this is successful, obviously you want to continue this story? Like, do you have quite a few issues already prepared?
Yeah. So I'm a big believer that when you start trying to look for publishers or you start trying to take things to print, it's very, very much best to have it. If it's a limited series, wrap it up. If
Yeah.
it's going to be arcs or volumes, get your first volume done at least, so that no matter what, you've got all that material there to follow through straight to finish. So it is at the moment only a 4 issue limited series. but I have purposely left it open because I know what I'm like. Because I could revisit this in a year or two's time and think, oh no, I could have done something with that. So it'll double up as both, but as of now, it is a four-issue limited series.
Beautiful. I think that's very smart too. For whatever reason, long form just isn't part of comics as of right now, unless you're the big two, the Marvel, DC, even Titan with Conan and some of the stuff they're doing. But yeah, it seems like everyone's gone to these short stories, which is great, right? You get in, you get out, you experience it. Sometimes you have to wait another year to see whatever happens after that. But yeah, no, that's very smart, very smart. All right, I'm gonna pull up your. Oh, go ahead, please.
I was going to say, I should have said thank you, but one of the things that made me twig about this is 2000 AD, their
Yeah.
submission pages. They want you to just do a five-page short story to see and make sure that you can condense the narrative down into something small and concise. And ever since then, I thought, no, yeah, we'll stick with that for now. If that's what the market looks for, got, I'll give it what they look for.
Exactly, exactly. I mean, you want to get in front of people, right? That way, hopefully they enjoy it, and that will dictate everything. The reality is, if people love it, you're going to be able to write more. Trust me. I mean, that's just the way the market works, right? Yeah, exactly. That's how we all are as creators, man. Well, I love it, ZG. All right, I'm gonna pull it up, my friend. Let's take a look at your Kickstarter right now, and you could kind of walk us through it if that's okay. But
Yeah,
here we go. You got your front page right here. So we got 22 days to go. So I assume we're about 8 days in. Does that sound about right? You did 30 days?
yeah, that's it. That is exactly it.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So yeah, this is awesome, man. The cover looks great, but let's walk through what people are going to get out of this. So I'll scroll down right here, and you kind of gave us a great view of what fans could expect from your title. Here's your cover. You want to talk about your artist a little bit? The art looks pretty amazing.
I would love to talk about Hewitsy. So Hewitsy, a he's a god among men when it comes to work like this. Like he's an unsung hero. His artwork is absolutely stunning. As soon as I saw it, I was already warned this is going to be the best guy to fit you. So I thought, okay, let's see what happens. And the minute this cover came through, it was almost like a light bulb went off the back of the brain. It's like, no, this is it. This is it. I've not seen any interiors yet, but just judging by this alone, I've got complete and utter faith that even if it comes to a rework, Hewitsy will crack it, and he is a diamond of a man as well. We shared a lot of love for the X Files, so that was that was our good twig to start talking and get on each other's good backs for a while.
That's awesome. Is your artist is he located in England as well, or is he in another part of the world?
No, Hewitsy's based in Mexico City,
Oh,
and
Mexico
he is
City.
thriving right now. Yeah, he's doing incredibly well, and I hope I get to work further with him. Hopefully, fingers crossed again that this one reaches fruition and we can do the rest of the issues together because I would love to work with him some more.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, I mean, I love how technology has allowed us to tap into all this amazing talent globally. And here you are on the other side of the earth, collaborating with an artist in Mexico City to bring forth all these creations. I love it, man. My
Honestly, dude.
artist is actually in Moscow, which is a little weird right now, but yeah, it's quite wild, man.
It's
But
cool though, like you say, that the fact that we can have those connections is insane. To think there's someone who's mind that you can meet with that otherwise we never would have brushed shoulders with. It's just this is what technology was for. This is what it was supposed to be for.
I agree with you, my friend. I agree. All right, let's continue on, my friend. Let's continue on. But yeah, the cover looks awesome. Check this out. And can you go over the name Red and Brown? I think a lot of people are going to ask, where's that coming from? Where Red and Brown?
Yeah, of course. So for plot reasons, I can't divulge too much
Oh,
because
no, then don't.
otherwise
Yeah. Yeah, no,
I,
we don't want to give
I
away.
think I'll be hung, drawn, and quartered. It'll be done with. But no, so Red and Brown itself ties into something that I can reveal. So a lot of the narrative actually revolves around the metaphor of drug addiction, specifically the aftermath of heroin addiction. Hence why we have the red and we have the brown. So that's an intrinsic tie through the entirety of it to shed a lot more light and I suppose, generate a lot more awareness about how that breakdown can occur, especially within the family unit. And a lot of the things that we take for granted ourselves, whether it be our friends, our family, or our children, it's that metaphor of we never think it'll be our own. And before we know it, our backs are turned, our eyes are closed, and we never know where we might find ourselves.
Yeah, yeah, that's so true. That is so true. Now, is this story based on something in your experience or you saw? Like, how did you come up with this story? What's the
Yeah,
genesis?
so I used to live with my ex-girlfriend, and we lived in an area just outside of London. edge of Essex, edge of London, as you're sort of edging toward East London, and it's an area called Langdon. And I suppose the only comparison we really have to something is social housing. So it's very much like the projects for you guys. And we were there at the time and at the moment. And I was having a cigarette in the garden, just about to go to bed, quite tired, just wanting to go along. And there was a lady in the flat block or apartment block just over the back of the side. And we hear everything. Any whether it's project social housing, you hear everything that goes on around you. You privacy is limited. You claw it where and when you can.
Yeah.
And horrifically, this lady had just received the news that her child had died of a heroin overdose.
Man.
And when you hear that scream, there's something in that sound that is just you just hope to never hear it again. And to me, the idea span from there. And of course, nothing featured within it is anything to do with anything like that whatsoever, like to an accurate person's real, a true story, should we say? But at the same time, it was a story that I felt needed to be told at the time without stepping on toes or encroaching on anyone's privacy. It's something complete, fresh, with a fictitious take, but a powerful metaphor behind it at the same time.
Yeah, no, that is so helpful to understand the background to that, and obviously brings a lot of depth to your title that, when you just look at it at the beginning, obviously you don't have that depth, right? So by explaining that, man, that takes your title to a whole nother level and brings a seriousness in there. And with the drug epidemic, especially fentanyl, at least in the United States, I mean, we are seeing young people, they go to do a certain drug and not realize it's laced in fentanyl, and I mean, the death rate is just, it's really sad to see, really sad to see. So yeah, I love it, man. I think you'll be able to educate and hopefully help someone at the same time.
That's the key. That's the key. Bring some comfort or peace or solace to someone that could be going through something that you never know. You never know.
That's amazing, man. Congratulations. So then we get some interiors here, which is great. So this will be in grayscale. The entire comic book will be in grayscale.
Yep, the majority will be. As we flick a little bit further down, you'll see it eventually. There'll
Oh,
be small little tones, and they are generally going to be thematic to the title. So the end of a cigarette when it burns, or when a lighter lights, or a certain item of clothing might feature it and remain thematic on top. As a little bit of a spoiler, but not too much. Further on toward the final issue, there will be an introduction of color, but it will serve an actual purpose. So I'm holding back full color for an intrinsic reason. So I'm just hoping that audience get attached enough to the plot for them to be able to feel that full impact. So once again, fingers crossed.
yeah.
Let's just hope that we hit that nail on the head.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, I love good grayscale. It just looks amazing. So this is awesome, man. So can you kind of walk through, like, I guess I assume these are like the first few pages, possibly?
Yep, that's exactly it. So what you're looking at now is page one. We are thrown into it just the same way that Streznik is thrown into it as he tries to leave his apartment building. It's full in and it's full on. The same way it would be when you've got hungry reporters just there and needing that story, need that information. And I thought, no, there's no point using visuals or great big splash panels and splash pages to try to invest people. In my opinion, the easiest way was to just go straight in and throw them in like you would Streznik.
Yeah, yeah, I love it, man. That is awesome. Yeah, the art is great. The pencils and inks are amazing. There's that color you were talking about. That's awesome.
We go.
Yeah. And you can't miss it, right? Because of the way that you're playing the colors, which is incredible. It draws attention to probably some important parts.
It's hopefully the aim.
Yeah, that's awesome. And here's page two.
That's it.
Wow.
One thing I like, especially when we look at the back of Streznik's hairline, even though it's not completely that style, whatever, it reminds me of the grayscale that's used in a lot of mangas. So things like Junji Ito, for example, is what sprang to mind immediately the moment that I saw it. And whether it's intentional or it's something that Hubert is passionate about, or it's just his creative input, I don't know. But I felt that it was a nice blend of the two. And to me, once again, ran with it. It had a bit of a more unique feel to it than just something that had just been flattened on a page and thrown.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I think that's that beauty between writer and artist, right? And how you could feed off of one another. Did you have some of those experiences where the story or the story for that page is sent over to your artist? The artist sends back the artwork based upon his interpretation of what you were sharing, but his interpretation might be a little bit different than what you were trying to maybe provide, but you liked what the artist did and you had to make some adjustments to the art or vice versa. Have you experienced that yet with your artist?
Yes, I have. I can actually point it out to you on this exact page.
Oh,
So if we go down to panel 4 on the far left, you'll see there Streznik is resting. There we are. That's the one just there. So we've got Streznik resting his arms on the counter and leaning forward in frustration. And we've got people in the line. You've got people that are fronting in frustration. You've got one person at the far back taking pictures. Now, this is something to me that I didn't even think of. The original in the script that was written down as if he slapped a $10 bill on the counter, and that was it. But Hewittsy has once again he's flushed it out and he's added a lot more depth to it with characters and group shot reactions. So that there's a perfect example of it there, and it was 100 times better than what I had envisioned. 100 times better.
I love when that happens. It's so fun. And it allows, it really, that collaboration allows the artist story to be added too, which I think is amazing. And as a reader, you could really tell the difference between a book where the writer and artist might not be on the same page and one that is. And I think that collaboration and that flexibility to be able to see what the artist provided and then be open enough to say, you know what, that might be a better representation of what I was saying than I thought I was going to receive, and then being able to run with it. And then as a reader, we could see that and we could tell that, and it just flows so much nicer because the alignment between you and the artist is there. I love it, man. That's one of my favorite things about creating. I don't know about you, but I love that whole process of the back and forth and that collaboration and the communication about, what I wanted to see, what I'm seeing, how this could be adjusted. I don't know if you've had a lot of experience before doing this, before your first comic, but that's awesome, man.
No, I agree completely. And I've actually, when I've been looking at work myself as a reader and as a consumer for years, I've been on exactly the same page as you, where I've read through something and I've thought, oh, hold on a second, no, this doesn't quite marry up. You can see that there was a lack of understanding here. But then you look at artists like when you take a writer like Brian Michael Bendis and you mix the work with people like Gaydos and Malieve, you can see they're on an exact pinpoint page. They just get one another, especially when you get the contrasted flicks for, say, I don't know, Jessica Jones, when you see the flitting between the watercolors and the usual panels, or even the 60s pin-up for Jessica's flashbacks, things like that, that I'm pretty sure there would have been a back and forth between the two, but you can see that creativity flow and you can see it merge. And yeah, definitely, it's a beautiful process. 100%. No, I completely agree.
Yeah, I love it, man. It's so fun. That's the addicting part, I think, of this, that makes you want to come back because no one's getting rich off of making comic books. Just between you and me, you do this because you have
No,
a
it's the
passion.
final truth.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, we're all in that boat, my friend. All right, we got some more art. I love the detail to the background too. Sometimes you'll read a comic book, especially an indie, and you'll have the detail of the person, but the background will be kind of blank, and you kind of need that background to help create the setting, because the setting is also part of the story, right? Whether it takes place, like you said, in front of his house, you have the reporters waiting for him to come down the stairs because they have questions that they need to get answers to in order to continue fulfill their responsibilities. But if you remove the building and you just have the reporter there, I don't think it has the same impact. And when you have a great artist that could do some of the background like this, it's amazing, man. I love it. Came out.
100%, I agree. With Hewitts's panels, there is no dead space. There is
Yeah,
none whatsoever. Every single little thing has a detail, and I agree with you. Such a perfect eye for detail. It's just the man is so talented, and he deserves every single ounce of praise he gets, and more success than he already gets. Honestly, he deserves the world.
this is awesome, man. Yeah, looks beautiful, man. Beautiful, beautiful. This is an awesome picture right here. What are we looking at here? Is this a page in the book, or this is the cover, right? The black and white of the cover,
Yeah,
right?
that was it. So it was just a Virgin ink mock-up for Hewittsy when it was at his first steps, and I fell in love with it straight away. So I fell in love with it so much that we've set up a little thing for an incentive variant cover.
Beautiful.
So it's going to be an incredibly low print run, of course, because of stocks and paying things like that. So there's only going to be a limited number of them. However, I loved it so much that I just couldn't afford to throw it. It was my lock screen for nearly 6 months. Honestly, as soon as I saw this, I just fell in love with it. It was a
Yeah,
beautiful piece, and I thought it'd be good to include a to showcase process, but I wanted to try and cram in as much of Hewitts's work as well at the same time, just to showcase step by step exactly what he's capable of. Because once again, he deserves all the praise he gets.
yeah, yeah. No, this is awesome, man. This is beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Very cool, man. All right, you want to talk a little bit about the incentives that you have right here, about going over budget, all that. What could backers experience from you?
Yeah. So one thing I should probably highlight at this point, squids is quids. So it's
Yeah.
like it's pounds, but it's just sling time. Bucks, squids, quids, whatever. But the idea is every time we go a little small amount over budget of what we intended, we've got a little ring set up with ASAP where we'll get digital issues fed out to every single individual that's ever backed it, just for the small amount that we go over. Everybody likes free reading material. So it's a nice little bit of incentive. And if Red and Brown gets made, that'll be slung in the ring for other people at the same time as well. Because we sharing is caring. Sharing
Hey,
is caring.
sharing is caring, my friend. I couldn't agree with you more. And then we get right into your risk and challenges, all that good stuff. But yeah, this is beautiful, ZG. I love it, man. I'm gonna have everything posted below, the link, to make it very easy. All your socials, everything will be down there. Everybody that's watching this, you should be following ZG Taylor, and you should be getting over to Kickstarter and backing Red and Brown. We will blast this everywhere for you, my friend. What I would love to talk to you about now is your relationship with ASAP. Can you kind of walk into how that relationship took place? Because obviously, my comics are through Any One World, and so I'm also a partner with ASAP, and we're one big family. So, can you kind of talk about your introduction to the team there and how this whole idea of publishing and pushing your product through them took place?
Yeah, okay. So I was at the London Film and Comic Con showcase back in God, how long ago was it now? 2023, I think. I think it was 2023 summer. And I was handing out script samples to anyone and everyone that I could. And because I go to as many different comic shops
Yeah.
as I can here or in London, a couple of stalls saw me. So there's one called A Place in Space. And he was like, "Oh, hey, dude, I haven't seen you in a while." And I was like, "Yeah, have a script." And he was like, "What do I want that for?" And I was like, just take it, have it." And I was going out handing out. And I'd never seen ASAP before. And the store was there. And I went up and I started chatting to Hades and we were sitting there talking. He was talking about the products he's got on the different storylines. It was points of virtue, no points of villainy that started. And immediately I was like, okay, so which ones to pick up? Are they one shots? Are they continuous? Do I need to read all of the tie-in series to get the main? And he was a bit like, because when I get this way, I bombard with questions. When something takes my interest, it's like, no, I will be concise. So I think he was a little bit surprised. So I gave him one of these short 5-page samples that I just been drafting up to give out to people, and he took it and he had a quick little flick through, and straight away he said, "Yes, submit, submit. Here's the email. Here's the link. Put something through the submissions. You never know." So basically skipped away because I was thinking, "Oh, I could do this. I could pull this out the bag." And then I ran upstairs to go and see Dan Slott to do the same for him, but he was taken away to the Whatnot panel when I was that close from him. So snakes and ladders,
Exactly.
snakes and ladders.
That's how it goes, right? Yeah. But I mean, Hades is such an amazing guy, man. I love Hades.
Yeah.
Super professional, and what he's building over at ASAP is just phenomenal. And even kind of stretching into other genres, also other ways of telling stories, whether it's through TV, film. I mean, what he's building in the UK is absolutely incredible. And then the Any One World that he's building for everybody outside of the UK to be able to have a way to, get your at least digital media out to the world is another awesome. I mean, I think he has about 150 different titles on Any One World. And then obviously ASAP is kind of his home publisher within the UK, which does awesome. And he also has published a couple of my friends, their trades as well, just because of, as he continues to grow, he gets better pricing on everything. So, I mean, if anybody is listening and you're not reading ASAP, man, there's all kinds of amazing titles. And then the Any One World too, if you go to their website, and I'll put all the links below, you could connect with creators and writers all over the world that have submitted to Hades and the team over there. And yeah, it's awesome. I'm happy for you, ZG, that you met Hades and that he took a liking to your story. And here you are, my friend. You're ready to go.
Finally, so far. But no, I do agree, especially when you say the scope of stories and the different types of narratives and genres that we're trying to touch on, is because when people think of comics, they see them as synonymous with superheroes, and it is just as simple as that. I get we've got other big sort of deviations like The Walking Dead, where it may not be superhero exactly, but the format is still there. And I feel that we need to remember that it's a medium and not a genre, which is why a story like this, I understand, is a challenge for comics, but it has the opportunity to attract readers that necessarily wouldn't have looked at comics twice before. Like myself, I started out in Star Wars, and then suddenly the genre took me by storm. Sorry, the medium took me by storm. You could ask me what my favorite writer is. I have to tell you what decade, because it's just I love my Daredevil, I love my Spider Man, I love my Batman. Big DC boy. But
Yeah.
at the same time, everyone needs a gateway. So I'm hoping that as more different genres and different topics emerge, it could be something that will draw people into the medium that necessarily maybe wouldn't have even looked at it prior.
Yeah, that's such a good point. And I feel like you're getting in at the right time with this type of storyline because, superhero stories have declined a little bit. And some of the genres that have really taken over, horror is on fire right now. It's slowing down a little bit, but horror has been kind of leading comics for a while. But yeah, and then, police procedurals or these type of storylines have been extremely popular. I don't know if you've had a chance to read Dick Tracy from Mad Cave Studios, Mad Cave Comics, but that's another like police procedure. I don't know if you ever read Dick Tracy as a kid. I
Yeah,
did.
I'm
It was
familiar
kind
with
of
old school Dick Tracy.
old school, yeah. So they've re-brought it out. It's a little bit more modern story with all the same characters, phenomenal. And so those type of storylines are just, yeah, they're super popular right now. So I feel like you're jumping in with this kind of a story at the right time because I think people are looking for something outside of superheroes. I'm still a big superhero fan, so most of the stuff I purchase is still superhero related because that's what I grew up on. And I also am more of a DC guy than a Marvel guy, although I love it all. But man, I have really gotten lost in some of these other genres within comics and yeah, it's mainly indies that have kind of opened my eyes to this entire other world of comics that is actually growing and expanding the fan base. So I think stories like yours are extremely important to bring new people into comics that probably wouldn't be attracted by, a superhero, to be quite honest, right? And it brings in for some maybe a little bit more mature storyline as well. And obviously your story seems like it's for a more mature audiences.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean you're tapping into I think a whole segment of comic readers that are hungry for these kind of stories. So I think you're in the right place at the right time, my friend.
Let's hope it fills them up. Let's hope they're satiated with it, and let's hope they don't get hungry again anytime soon. Unless something really good crosses the palate, then eat away.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, I mean, you got plenty of time to go. Just a quick, let me refresh real quick. You got 22 days left, 31 backers, and you're pretty close to being at the halfway point. So, I mean, you're pretty good. Unfortunately, if you haven't experienced this before, you're what we call the valley of death, right? You get that jump right at the beginning, and then you get this lull. So we'll push this out as much as possible. And then those last like 5 days, that's where you start to see a lot of movement as well. So it's just,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just the way it goes. It's very stressful. It's very, yeah, you might
The
lose a
Valley
little
of Death
here.
has hit me hard. So I woke up the other morning and my girlfriend turned to me. She went, "How's it doing?" And I was sitting there looking at it, and I thought, "Oh no, dude, I don't think we're going to make this, dude. I don't know. This isn't looking good." But no, we've we've got a few. It was weird when it jumped so much in one day, and then now as each day goes by, it's about another 25 to 30 each day, chipping away, and then you get that silence through the whole day. And it's almost like I keep checking my phone, and then eventually there'll be that small little ping, like yes, yes. But no, it's let's hope it works out. I've got a London run to do with posters through different local shops. We've got
Okay.
one called Gosh Comics in the city centre, and they're very big, very big on indie stuff. So I'm hoping we get a few there as well.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm pulling for you, my friend. Like I said, we will blast this all over social media, so hopefully you get a few backers from that as well. But congratulations on Red and Brown. It's always amazing when your first comic gets done. Wait till you hold it in your hand and you could flip through it. It's an amazing feeling, you know?
I think I might cry.
Yeah.
I genuinely think I might. I can't lie. I think it's going to
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's definitely in a good way a very emotional and amazing experience to be able to get your story out there with art that aligns with your story. It's awesome, man. Yeah. Well, ZG, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you hanging out with me today. You're always welcome,
Thank
my
you. Thank
friend.
you.
So I'm looking forward to part two of this to have you come back so we could help push that as well. I would love to see you successfully get through this first arc and hopefully be able to continue to tell story because I don't know, I think comics is an amazing way of telling stories. So I'm all in for it. But yeah, I wish you the very best, my friend. And yeah, anything else that we're leaving out? Of
I would just like to say once again, thank you to yourself. Thank you
course.
to anybody that takes a liking to my little ramblings through this half an hour that you've sat and put up with me. And if you do back it and you do get it, I hope you enjoy it. So that's the most I can say is just thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And then how could people follow you, ZG, on socials?
So the best way will be Instagram, which is just at Z_G_Taylor. That would be the best way to keep with everything. Or if not, there is my email, which is z.g.taylor36@gmail.com. Those are the best two solid ways to get hold of me.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, we'll put that down below too. That way, fans can follow you and stay up to date with everything that's going on with the Kickstarter and everything that you're working on from an artistic and creator standpoint. But ZG, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. It was a pleasure meeting you, my friend. I'm glad that we got connected, and I'm pulling for you.
Fingers crossed again. I keep doing this. I've never crossed my fingers so much in a 24 minute period, but here we are.
Exactly. Well, ZG, you have a great rest of your week, my friend, and we'll talk soon, okay?
You too. Have a lovely evening. You take care.
You too.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.